Hey everyone, welcome to this video tutorial. We are looking at a smashing top bank 10 mark answer from paper 2. The topic is an ageing population impacting policies that affect family and households. So let's check it out. So the question that we're looking at is a 10 marker, and you are asked to outline and explain 2 ways in which an ageing population may have led to policies that affect family and household today. The trigger word is that we're looking for is 2 ways, and what that means is that you have got to talk your way through a process which links the different parts of the question together. So how has an ageing population has had an impact on policies, and then how has then policies affected family and households today? So you've got lots of things that you need to think about. So let's have a look at the mark scheme to see what we need to do. If we focus on the top band, answers in the 8 to 10 band will have very good knowledge and understanding, and what that means is that it will be conceptually detailed, it'll be rich, it'll use the correct terminology, it will have knowledge of maybe examples of policies, and they will show an understanding how it will affect family and households. There will be 2 applications of the relevant material, so showing how this process has occurred, and there will be appropriate analysis. So let's have a look at a student's answer to see exactly how we are going to hit those skills. So if we look at the student paragraph, and I've highlighted it and underlined it where they're starting to show words that means that they're going to be hitting the skills. So this student starts off by using the wording from the question. So one way in which an ageing population have led to a change in family policies is an increase in pressure of public services, leading to an increase in retirement age, which has contributed to a growth in multi-generational beanpole families. So here they have just stated the point, it's clearly explicit, this is what the way is. And what they're going to do in the remaining part of the paragraph is break that process down, add additional detail to it, and a little bit of analysis also, because there is AO3 marks are available. So then in this part of the paragraph, they're explaining, they're giving an example of a policy and they are showing that application there. So this increase in life expectancy gives a pressure on public services such as the NHS. So we've got an example of a policy there. This they explain and they show wider knowledge here, because they say that waiting lists tend to be long, and that puts family under pressure to provide health and emotional support for family members. We've got an application of a sociologist here with Hirsch, who argues that changes must be made to policies due to the cost of maintaining these services, and as such a retirement age is increasing, workers contribute for longer, and this is relevant because they have mentioned this up here in their point. As the longer the person works, the more at risk they are in terms of suffering from pain, increasing the pressure on the public services. And this is where now they're going to apply it to the second part of the question. How is this affecting families? So families are going to attempt to support their elderly relatives, and as a result, this increases beanpole families. We've got a bit of analysis to finish right at the bottom of the paragraph, because it must be considered the pressure of emotional labour is most likely to be placed on women performing these segregated roles in the past. This change will remain because instead of looking after dependent children, they're going to look after dependent elderly. And they're sort of implying this is the beanpole element, that they're going to have fewer children because of the increased pressure of looking after their elderly relatives. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a breakdown about how you might word that paragraph. And this student did get 10 out of 10. On this answer. So let's have a look at what we could put in our second paragraph. So I thought it would be a really good idea to give you some prompts from the mark scheme from paper 2 2019, so you can have a little bit of a go at writing a second paragraph following the structure that I have gone through. And there is a number of different policies that you could refer to: taxation, healthcare spending, housing, benefits, and so on. Finally, let's have a look at the examiner report. It's always useful to refer to this because it gives you a really good insight about how students responded to a question like this. So as you can see in the first sentence, some students did find this quite challenging. They were unsure of how to relate the ageing population to policies affecting families. And it says it right at the bottom here as well. some students struggled with the connection between the ageing population and policies, sometimes suggesting the policies were put in place before there was an ageing population. Now, the aim of a question like this is to make cross-topic links, and it is really useful for you to get yourself a little bit of a topic grid, topics across the top, topics down the side, and try and make connections between the different topics, just so then you are prepared for questions like this. They'd also say there were some very good answers. Detailed knowledge of policies were not required. The better answers actually focused on the process or the way and how the families were affected by the policies. Most answered considered the retirement age, like what my student did, and how this may affect grandparents as carers of grandchildren, or we looked at it from a different angle and how women in particular were looking after their elderly relatives. They also mentioned about the effect on women in this pivot or sandwich generation, because they're looking after elderly relatives and their children as well. They also referenced that there were some good answers referring to policies in other countries, such as Singapore's have 3 or more, which is often quite useful to note as well, because the question didn't explicitly say in the UK. So massive thank you for watching. If you have found value, click that like. If you want to ask me any questions, please send me a message, drop me a comment. You can check me out on Instagram, you can check me out on Twitter and also on TikTok. Thank you. Bye bye.